There's a lot of identities in trig, but this is the one, these are the family of identities that we use probably the most often, next to that cosecant is 1 over sine and secant's 1 over cosine, all that good stuff. Okay, so the Pythagorean identity, you're probably going, I don't know it. You do. It's this lovely guy. Sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. And so anytime I see sine squared plus cosine squared equals, if I ever see sine squared plus cosine squared, I can always replace that with the number 1. You could also do cute things like that the sine squared equals 1 minus cosine squared, or that cosine squared equals 1 minus sine squared. But that's about as far as we go with this original one. So what I mean is don't take the square root. Just don't do it, okay? This is pretty much how we use it, okay? Now, there are 2 other Pythagorean identities, and I'm going to show you how you can get them by just using the original of sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to take this guy and you're going to divide everything by cosine squared, okay? So if I take this original identity and I divide everything by cosine squared, okay, I get sine squared over cosine squared. Sine over cosine is tangent, so this is going to turn into tangent squared. Cosine squared over cosine squared is 1, and 1 over cosine is secant. Since it's squared, it's secant squared. So we just got our second Pythagorean identity, which is tan squared plus 1 equals secant squared. Okay, what I want you to know about this is that tangents and secants are married with each other. So I'm saying that in calculus and in mathematics, they have this very important relationship, that tangent and secants are attached to this. And when we start doing derivatives, the derivative of the tangent and the derivative of the secant both have each other in them. Okay, so they are partnered forever. And by the way, I had a student who remembered this as, so he had it written as, sorry to laugh, but it just was funny. He had it rearranged this way. And he used to remember it as I tan secretly. Okay, sure, whatever you have to do to get it in your brain. For me, I just do sine squared plus cosine squared is 1. I divide by cosine squared, and I get this. So this is the same thing. So tan squared plus 1, or 1 plus tan squared equals secant squared. Okay. So that is the second identity. The third identity is we're going to go back, and I'm now going to divide everything by sine squared. Okay, so what happens if I divide everything by sine squared? All right, hopefully you're seeing where this is going. Sine squared over sine squared is 1. Cosine over sine is cotangent, so this will be cotangent squared. And then 1 over sine is cosecant, so this will be cosecant squared. Just as tangent and secant are married, cotangent and cosecant have a very special partnership. The derivative of one involves the other, okay? So this fact becomes extremely important as we are working in our derivative section, okay? So when I say the Pythagorean identities, I mean sine squared plus cosine squared is 1, this guy right here, and then the I tan secretly. I need all 3 of those, okay? So be ready to go with using whichever one we need at the time. You should know them.